Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on my channel. It has been quite a bit since, I made the first part of this video all the way back in July. 6 months ago I looked. And the first part of this video was ranking video game consoles, or rather, video game console controllers. And this video was supposed to go out a lot earlier than it is now. We're actually ranking consoles this time. And I know, if you can see by the list, it's not every console. Actually, not at all. It's pretty much just the big ones, you know, the every generation, and some weird ones are in here as well. I see the Virtual Boy, I see the Ouya. What else we got here? We got PC. So yeah, let's just go for it. This is already gonna be a long video, so we're just gonna hop into it. The first console on our list is the PSP. Also, be sure to leave a like as well and subscribe. It'll really help me out. And yeah, let's just dive right into this video. Alright, so first up is actually one of my favorite consoles ever. And I know that's weird, but it is the PlayStation Portable, or the PSP, as majority of people just call it, because it's cooler just to shorten stuff. PSP. It came out, I looked it up, March 24th, 2005. So 20-year anniversary is almost coming up in 2 months. So happy birthday to the PlayStation Portable. But yeah, I'm gonna be ranking these consoles, by the way. I didn't even tell you what I'm even ranking them on. I'm gonna rank them off of, I already did controllers, so I don't think I'll do that. Rank them off of basically their power, how iconic they are, what games they had, so pretty much everything that isn't a video game controller, I'm going to be ranking. Unless, of course, it is a handheld console, like the PlayStation Portable. Yeah, I really liked the PSP. It had some great games on it as well. I think, you know, me personally, I'm a Metal Gear guy, so Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is a very good game to play. It doesn't just play games, though. It's also used to watch. You can watch movies on here. I believe you can listen to music as well. Yeah, I mean, oh man, I'm trying to remember everything about the PSP, because I used to have one. It broke though, and I was so sad because I would take it on like long road trips and stuff. But yeah, the PlayStation Portable also had some really good games on it as well. I had to look some of them up, but pretty much, like I said, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker was on this console, but you also had games like GTA Vice City Stories, Liberty City Stories. You had God of War, Ghost of Sparta. That was my John back in the day. And you had other games as well, like Tekken 6, which I made a whole video talking about Tekken pretty much. And some other games as well. Some other very iconic games. The PSP is also known for being a heavily modded console. And what I mean by that is pretty much you can mod it to where you can play any retro handheld or even some console emulations if you mod it the correct way. I never did that with mine. I think that's really cool though, and it's definitely something worth buying. And I personally enjoy it over consoles like the 3DS. So yeah, I don't know if I enjoy it more over the Nintendo Switch, but you know, PSP is a very, very good console. I enjoy it. I think it's one of the greatest. Well, it's probably like second or third best handheld consoles. So yeah, I mean, pretty much I'm just going to put PSP. By the way, these are the tiers as well. I'm gonna put PSP in the A tier. I think it's very good. So yeah, I also forgot to say what tiers we have. We have Trash, C, B, A, S, and GOAT. For some reason, S is not better than GOAT. Moving on to the next console on our list, we have the original Xbox with the Duke controller. Alright, I'm gonna cut to the chase. I absolutely loved it. I think for the time, the original Xbox was a fantastic system. I think I wrote all this down because I was just thinking about it actually just at school one day. I think the addition of a hard drive for game saves was incredible. And it had 8 gig guaranteed, so you never needed a memory card unless you wanted to transfer your save to another system. And now, the Dreamcast was smart with the modem that it had, but this console had built-in Ethernet, and that was a step ahead pretty much back then whenever it came out. The system also had a very good CPU, and it pushed out some incredible graphics as well. And I still think, this jumpstart the Halo franchise, which is one of my favorites today. And honestly, unlike the Xbox 360, I think this console's hardware was rock solid. And in my personal opinion, I think it took until the Xbox One S until I feel like Microsoft made another system I felt was truly great, I guess you could say. Also, it just looks cool. I mean, it has a giant X on the top. Why is that not seen in consoles nowadays? But yeah, I can't really think of anything else to say about the original Xbox. I really liked it. I think it was really good for starting the console wars that we see now. By the way, I don't see the modern day consoles on here. I don't see the PS5 or the new Xbox. So yeah, I guess we're not ranking those today. But yeah, without further ado, we're gonna put the original Xbox in B. Next up, the PS3, one of the greatest consoles ever made. This one, damn. I'm such a PlayStation fan, by the way. I love PlayStation way more than Xbox. I do like Xbox, but if I had to pick, I'm definitely picking PlayStation over it. And the PS, oh my gosh, I'm getting choked up because I love the PS3 so much. But the PS3 is one of my favorite consoles ever, and it runs so good, and it has so many great games on it, and it was getting pushed up until like the late 2010s. So I mean, the PS3 is such a good console, man. You have no idea. First off, it's backwards compatible. That's the main point of getting a bunch of these consoles, because they're backwards compatible. So you can just play games from previous systems. Now, it's only backwards compatible with PS1 games, but you can still play some PS2 games if you buy them digitally. So you got that going for you. And I know I just said I wasn't going to rank controllers, but come on, bro. The DualShock 3 is one of the best controllers ever made. Let's be for real. And I know we haven't gotten to the PS Vita yet, but the PlayStation 3 offers, it's a very remote, it's a very limited remote play feature with the PS Vita. If you connect the two consoles over the internet, the PS3 will stream gameplay to the Vita, if that makes sense. It's like this app I found where you can take Steam and you can stream games to your phone. It kills your phone, by the way, but it's still really cool. Now, my PS3 I have is a Metal Gear Solid 4 Special Edition. It's backwards compatible. It's really powerful for a PlayStation 3. And of course it came with Metal Gear Solid 4, which is one of my favorite games of all time. So, yeah, I don't know, oh man, it has so many great games on it as well. If I could go, let me look up some of the games real quick and just tell you what it has. GTA 5, The Last of Us, Red Dead Redemption, Uncharted 2, Call of Duty's Black Ops 2, Metal Gear Solid 4, Fallout 3, Skate 3, God of War 3, Minecraft, Black Ops 1, Batman Arkham City, Mortal Kombat, New Vegas, Skyrim, BioShock, Portal 2, Grand Theft Auto 4, which is one of the greatest games ever invented. I really just said that. One of the greatest games ever made. Assassin's Creed 2, Call of Duty 4, BioShock Infinite. Dude, this console is so good, dude. You can already tell where I'm gonna put it. It is a forever favorite of mine. Oh my god, it's running away. We're gonna put it in GOAT. Okay, well, we have the Atari 2600, which is pretty much the first video game console ever made. And this is not the 2600 Plus, which came out last year or 2 years ago. It's not that one. This is the original one from the 1970s. I don't even remember. But okay, I'm gonna say it was probably good for its time. But why would you play this nowadays? Why would you play the original thing nowadays apart from nostalgia? Now, I love what it did for video games. It pioneered video games pretty much. And it has some pretty good games on it. It has Pac-Man, it has Pitfall. It has some great games. But I don't see the reason in playing it seriously nowadays, unless you're like a game collector, unless you just want nostalgia, unless you're like, I don't know, doing something. I don't know why you would want it. So I love it. I love the history of it. But in terms of nowadays, like if it were to hold up nowadays, no, it's going in C. I'm not putting it in trash. It's not the Wii U, but it certainly is not something that I would rush to play nowadays. This would not be the last thing I would play. All right, it's the Atari 2600. All right, Nintendo Switch. I just made a Nintendo Switch video. Literally, my recent video was about the Nintendo Switch 2, which, by the way, off topic, the official trailer came out after I made that video. I'm not saying I'm the president of Nintendo, but it's kind of weird that they released that after I made that video. Anyways, Nintendo Switch. It's been out for a few years now. I'm sure majority of people have it. I'm sure majority of people can say it's a damn good console. It's handheld. You can play it on a TV. It's got some incredible games. Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. I've been playing the new Mario RPG remake a lot recently. Yeah, again, I don't really think there's anything I could say about the Switch because we all know it's a good console. We all know it's one of the greatest consoles of all time. I think that goes without saying because you could find an in-depth review about the Switch on YouTube anywhere. So, even on the internet, like on IGN probably. So, yeah, Switch, it's going in GOAT. I don't care. Alright, I'm a big PlayStation man, but I'm also a big Sega console fan. And I can tell you that the Game Gear is probably the worst Sega console. It's another handheld, but it's very porous. I don't even know if that's how you use that word, but it's very bad compared to pretty much all the handhelds on this list. It just feels like recycled Master System stuff. It doesn't feel like it's something brand new. It's pretty much you just play Genesis or Master System games on the go. The library isn't even that good, honestly. The only game I even remember playing on this is, I think it was Road Rash 3 or something. It was a Road Rash game. So, yeah, I don't know. The Game Gear just... if I think about it, yeah, I don't know. I can really only think of like 1 or 2 games on it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's alright. It doesn't have it has like buttons. Like the Genesis controller has the D-pad. That's pretty much what it has as well. So, yeah, I don't know. The Game Gear is alright. I'm gonna put it in... I don't want to... do I want to put it in C? I'll put it in B, just to be nice. But it's definitely the worst handheld on this entire list. Alright, next is the first well, first American Nintendo console, NES. Again, this is another Atari for me. I like it because of what it accomplished for video games. I love some of the games on it as well. I think games like, obviously, Mario 1, 2, and 3, even games like Excite Bike as well, and all those games, I feel like they're great. Original Legend of Zelda, amazing. But I don't like it compared to stuff nowadays. You could easily emulate these games as well. And also the thing, like, loves to, it loves to, like, crash pretty much. Like, if you're playing the game and you, like, sneeze, the entire thing is just gonna, like, glitch out. And it's gonna reset the entire game because it's so old. And the controller is not exactly good either. It has these sharp edges that dig into your hands, and the buttons just don't feel very good. So, NES, I'm sorry. I love you. I love what you did for the future of video games, but personally, I don't know. You're definitely better than the Atari. You definitely have better features than the Atari, but you are not something that I'm going to be rushing to play. Okay, here's another one that it took me a little bit to know what it was, but yeah, it's the 3DO. It's next up, and this is another really weird console. I have no clue where to rank the 3DO. Like, what? I bet a lot of people probably don't know the 3DO very well, because it was really expensive back then. It was like $500 back then, dude. That is crazy. And especially because it came out with game consoles like the N64, I think that kind of just killed its chances of surviving. Honestly, I don't know too many games on it. I know it has Gex, Road Rash 3D, and I think Star Control 2, but apart from that, I don't really think that it's worth getting at all. You can easily emulate the games as well, so there's really no point in getting one. I will say, one good thing I'll say about it is it had one of the best ports of Street Fighter 2. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fine. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. I'll just put it in C, whatever. Oh, Genesis. Yes, sir. I love the Genesis, okay? It's a great console. It has amazing games on it, by the way. And it brought the arcade home. That was their motto. They brought the arcade home. They brought it on a video game console. So, there you go, Sega Genesis fans, including myself. By the way, the games on this console were amazing. Sonic 1, 2, 3, Streets of Rage 1, 2, 3. What else did they have? They had Golden Axe, Revenge of Shinobi, Final Fight was on here. I believe Double Dragon was on here. Mortal Kombat, like, bro, I know those are all fighting games, but come on, that's the type of games I want to see. Road Rash 1 and 2 were on this. I think 3 as well was on there as well. Also, another highly underrated game is Alien Storm. If you guys ever emulate a Sega Genesis or buy one, get Alien Storm. It's a very good game. Yeah, I think this console also skyrocketed in popularity as well because of the Nintendo-Sega console rivalry in the 80s and 90s as well. I think that one just made this console go up. I personally believe it's the best Sega console. I know the Dreamcast is on here, but I like the Genesis. I like its games more. Dreamcast is still amazing. I love the Dreamcast, but I love the Genesis more. So I'm going to put the Genesis probably not in GOAT, but it's definitely going in A tier. I'll put in S. We have another weird one. It's the Ouya. Alright, so this is one that probably most of you have not heard of. I've heard of the Ouya. I never had one. Now, I do know what it is though, and I know that it was probably a colossal failure. Well, for one, I'm pretty sure it was used to play like mobile games on TV, because it had this little dongle next to it where you could plug it into your TV and play games pretty much. Yeah, I think you got it, and it was like a dev kit, and it was like a experimental video game console pretty much. I don't really know too much about that. I've heard of it, and I know like the gist of it. So that's pretty much it. I don't really know too much else more about it. So I'm sorry if you're an Ouya fan. I'm not qualified to tell you about the Ouya, okay? I'm just gonna put it in like C. It was alright. Oh, don't even get me started with the PS1, bro. Oh my god, I could talk for probably 2 days straight about the PlayStation 1. I'm gonna keep it short, because we still got a lot of consoles to go, and I don't want this video to be too long. But all I'm gonna say about the PlayStation 1 is the games. It has one of the best lineup of games ever. It has great polygon graphics. You always love the polygons. It had like the most cinematic and most story-driven games ever. Well, back then at least. Bro, oh my god, it's so good. And it gave us so many great franchises that we see now, like Metal Gear, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. Oh my gosh. Alright, well, before I soil myself, I'm gonna put the PlayStation 1 in GOAT. I don't think that anybody can even debate me about that. Alright, we got the Dreamcast next. One of my personal favorites, and it is a very arcadey console. I feel like this one, Genesis did it better, but it brought a lot of great arcade games to the home console. And this is also the last Sega console ever, and it has some great games on it. Jet Set Radio is incredible. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are incredible. Even games like 2K, like NBA 2K1, was great. Now, if you want traditional style console games, like not arcade style, then no, this isn't the console for you. There's a few decent games, but nothing like the PS2, the original Xbox, and the GameCube, which were the contemporaries of the Dreamcast, if you will. But other than that, it's got incredible games on it. And I think it's clear to me that Sega, being the powerhouse arcade company, they wanted to make a home console that could play perfect arcade ports. And I'm also this is so sad because this is the last Sega console ever, and I feel like they were starting to slowly try and do things right, because they had the Genesis before this. The Genesis was really good. Then they made the Dreamcast, and yeah, so it's a sad day, man. Dreamcast is great though. I'm gonna put it in S. It's a very good console. We have the Sega Saturn next, and I was actually looking for it because I didn't think it was on this list, but I'm glad he finally decided to show up. And I believe this is the last Sega console on this list. So this one was after the Genesis, before the Dreamcast, I'm pretty sure. So there you go. It was a very powerful system, but it was extremely difficult to program. Now, I haven't heard of a lot of instances of them like breaking, but I know that there was this one guy I just heard about, and like, I don't know, it broke 3 times. He had like 3 different Saturns, and they all broke. So, yeah, I don't know, man. He just must have been exceptionally unlucky. That has nothing to do with this, by the way. Now, apart from being powerful, the Saturn didn't really have a lot of good things going for it, but I'd say the biggest strength was probably their 2D, mainly because of its extra memory, and it had expandable memory through the cartridge slot. And many of the Saturn's best 2D games could not be done on the PS1 or had to be stripped down like the Capcom Versus games. So, yeah, but also a lot of developers back then weren't talented enough to actually use the Saturn to its full potential. So, it could have been a greater console, but the people were just not that good back then. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Saturn. We're gonna put you in B next to your brother, the Master System, and the Game Gear too. Wow, that's a lot of mid Sega consoles. All right, man, don't shoot me, but I don't like the Game Boy. It's obviously, you know, it can't really help it now, but it's got bad graphics. You can't play it in the dark at nighttime. It lasted for way too long, in my opinion. I think it was from like the 80s to like the 2000s. That's a long time. And it had like 15 iterations as well. Like there's one of them on this list, the Game Boy Advance. But it had like 15 iterations, man. Game Boy, it pioneered handheld consoles pretty much, but I just don't like it. I don't think it has many good games on it either. I know it has Pokemon. I know it has the original Kirby, but I don't know. I've never found myself to enjoy the Game Boy, and I've emulated a lot of games on it because I've never had one myself, but I've seen other people have them and they're not that impressive to me. So, yeah, I don't know. I've emulated the games. The games don't really wow me a lot of the times. Yeah, I play Pokemon Red and you know, sometimes, but not really all the time. So I'm not gonna put it in trash, but I will appreciate it for its pioneering, I guess, of handhelds. But I'm gonna put it in B. Okay, get your laughs out. It's the Virtual Boy next. Virtual Boy. Yes, I've never had one myself. I've seen videos. I've honestly like heard more about this console than probably most ever. I watch a lot of console stuff, so I've seen a lot of reviews of it. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, it lives up to its name. It's virtual. You have to put your eyes in the lens thing to play the games, and you have to sit very very awkwardly to play. Yeah, and also it has this red monochrome tint over it. It looks very bad. It probably gives you a lot of headaches and eye strains. And personally, that's pretty cool. But I'm not gonna put it in trash. I think it had some good games on it. It had like Wario Land and I think Mario Tennis on it. So I mean, it had some decent games, but like it's still pretty bad. So this is PC, and I don't really know what else to say. It's PC, so it's computer, and I like playing on PC. There's a lot of good games, and you got Steam and like Epic Games and stuff. So yeah, PC is going in GOAT. Enough said. Here's one we can all laugh at though. It's the Wii U. One of, if not, no, not the biggest mistake. One of the biggest mistakes in Nintendo history. This one was released to compete with the Xbox One and the PS4 and got smacked upside the head and never recovered. The Wii U had outdated like gamepad. There wasn't very good games on it, and it didn't really do anything that was good, pretty much. And the only thing I remember really from the Wii U days is I remember there was a Nintendo Direct, or there would be Nintendo Directs where they would announce something for the 3DS, which is a goated system, by the way. And yeah, they would announce something for the 3DS, and people in the chat would say, "Why isn't that on Wii U?" And everybody would just be showing love to the 3DS because everybody knew that the Wii U sucked. Yeah, I don't know what else I have to say. Here's another GOAT system. We got the SNES, which has, again, one of the greatest lineup of games ever. And it is probably, in my opinion, I like it more than the GameCube. I don't know about N64. I've been thinking about it. I don't know if I like it more than the N64. It's GOAT. I'm gonna put it in GOAT right now. It's got incredible games. It was one of the first consoles I ever played myself. Super Mario World was one of the first games I ever played. I still have not beaten Super Mario World to this day. I know. What am I doing? But one day we gonna get there. But yeah, I want to say more stuff for this stuff, but I really can't think right now. Like, I just know it's good, and that's all. I could list off games if you wanted me to. Like, they got Street Fighter 2, Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart. The first ever Mario Kart was on this console. They had Kirby's Dream Course, which is my shit, bro. Nobody can mess with me on Kirby's Dream Course. And that's about it. I can't really think of any other games right now for the SNES. Alright, Nintendo 3DS, the superior brother to the 2DS, which I'm going to rank the 2DS right here as well. Or not 2DS, just the DS. 3DS obviously was better than the DS. It was destined to be better. But the DS was really good. Obviously, without it, we wouldn't have the 3DS. But 3DS had 3D. I like the games on it a lot better. You can play DS games on the 3DS. So there's really no point in even having a DS and a 3DS at the same time. And also, the 3DS has a, a circle pad, pretty much. It has a circle pad. The DS only had a D-pad, so it had no little dongle. So, yeah, also, the 3DS stylus is also the better one as well. So, overall, 3DS is the superior Nintendo handheld console. I don't know if I'd put it in GOAT, but it's definitely going in S. DS is probably going in A. I just like the 3DS better. Obviously, the DS, probably a lot more people have nostalgia over that one. I can see why, and also, I need more consoles in A tier, so we're gonna put the DS there. Alright, well, we got the Game Boy Advance next, and I like this one a lot better than the Game Boy for multiple reasons. For one, I like the Game Boy Advance SP. I think it did an incredible job in upgrading, pretty much. It had a lit screen, it had a very good library. The Game Boy Advance just has a very good library of games as well. And it was so, like, comfortable to fit in your pocket as well. It didn't, like, feel uncomfy, pretty much. Like, the Game Boy, again, I never had one myself, but I've seen one in real life. I feel like it would just be like a giant calculator in your pocket. The GBA is also in a really weird, or, I don't know, weird, but it's in a crazy spot where game design overall had really started to shift towards being user-friendly and intuitive, but the Game Boy Advance being cheap and portable, it kept it in the classic era of 2D graphics. And I think a lot of the classic genres peaked here before the indie boom in the 2010s. So, there you go. Not really much else to say about the GBA. It has a great amount of games on it. It's got some great Fire Emblem games. It's got Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion. It's got some great Zelda games as well. Golden Sun is actually very underrated. I don't know how many of you have played Golden Sun, but GBA is definitely a good console. Way better than the Game Boy. I'm putting it in A tier. Wow, A tier is all handhelds. I just realized. That's crazy. Xbox 360, baby. Great console. Obviously one of the all-time greats. I just feel like nowadays it's kind of been assassinated by this by PC games and by the newer Xboxes as well, because you can pretty much play every Xbox 360 game on the new Xboxes and on PC. So there's not really and there's sometimes performance issues with the 360 as well. Sometimes it likes to game end on itself. So yeah, there's that. And but yeah, that's pretty much about it. The 360 is special to me as well. That and the PS3 are, I mean, they were in a console war, but they're also brilliant. It's like the Xbox One and the PS4. So, I mean, I put the PS3 in GOAT, so I gotta put the 360 in GOAT, right? So we're gonna go up here, and we're gonna slap it right there next to the SNES in GOAT tier. Alright, next up is the GameCube, another one of my personal favorites, another one of my all-time favorites. Now, don't let it coming in last in the console wars of the 2000s fool you. The GameCube is incredible, and for starters, the controller is peak Nintendo. They still bring it back nowadays for games like Super Smash Bros. On the Switch. But, GameCube, again, it's incredible. It has incredible games on it. Mario Sunshine, Metroid Prime 1 and 2 were great as well. I'm pretty sure it had the Sonic Adventures on it. It is such a good console. Melee as well, Super Smash Bros. Melee. It's one of my favorites. I like that you can play GameCube games on the Wii as well. I know we're not at the Wii yet, but that's just a feature I love. Oh man, GameCube is so good. It's one of my favorite consoles of all time. It birthed a bunch of new Nintendo franchises as well. It gave us Luigi's Mansion, Metroid Prime, like I said, Pikmin, Animal Crossing, Chibi Robo, Mario Kart Double Dash as well is the best Mario Kart game in my opinion. Either that or Mario Kart Wii. Again, we're not even on the Wii yet, and I'm still talking about it. But yeah, it gave us some incredible games. Also, the GameCube had like 20 different add-ons to it. You could play Game Boy games on it. It had like its own portable TV screen. I don't know. They release so much crap for this stuff. It's just a Nintendo thing, really. They just love giving you just random plastic stuff to put on your consoles. But yeah, I think the hardware still is very good nowadays. I think it still holds up pretty well. Again, the games are fantastic. This is just one of the best lineup of games ever on any console. So, and again, you can play GameCube games on the Wii as well. So, yeah, it's so good. It's such a good console. So, I'm going to put it... I don't know if I want to put it in GOAT. I'll put it in S. I'll put it in S, okay? Okay, yes, this one is in GOAT tier, the N64. We wouldn't have the GameCube without the N64. And yes, I think it's one of the greatest consoles of all time. The controller is just cheeks. I hate the controller, but that's about it. It has, I would say the best lineup of games ever. Yes, that's right. Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Doom 64, Quake 64, GoldenEye 007. What else? Paper Mario is on here. Like... oh man, Super Mario RPG, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time. what more is there to say about the N64? It has a lot of polygons. It's known for its polygon graphics, but I mean, so what? Also, this console revolutionized multiplayer games. It had 4 controller ports. You know how big that is, bro? 4 controller ports. Dude, you could have like an entire party play now. Also, it was the first Nintendo console to go 3D. I'm pretty sure, was it the first 3D? I don't know. I don't think it was the first 3D console. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm like half asleep right now. But okay, let's just say that it's in GOAT tier before I start saying dumb stuff that isn't true about it, cuz I'm yeah, okay, it's in GOAT. Okay, I'll stop talking now. I'm sorry. All right, we've got the Sega Master System next. This is our 3rd Sega console. I can't remember how many I've already done. No, this is 4th. Whatever number we're on. This is another Sega console. And I love it. I think it's good, but also it has some really hard games. These games are so difficult, dude. It has like, well, how do you explain it? They're very short and extremely difficult action games. I would say probably 3/4 of their library are those types of games. But they are made by Sega, so that means that they're very high quality. So maybe you'll have fun dying over and over again. But if you're not a fan of playing a game over and over again, trying to get better at it, then no, don't really get a Master System. I mean, it has a few games that don't do that. Like, there's a few Sonic games on there, but really, yeah, there's not too many. So I don't know. You might just want to save your anger for another day. But one more thing I'll say: this system has incredible light gun games like Gangster Town, but you need a CRT TV to play them. So yeah, these old consoles, man, you need old TVs and old setups. So I forgot to mention that for like a lot of consoles, but yeah, we're gonna put the Master System in B, just because I like a lot of the games on it, but it's also, they're irritating as crap to play. Right, Xbox One is next. I really like the Xbox One. It's still being supported nowadays, and I think it was really good. It was really powerful. It's a beautiful console, and it had amazing graphics as well. And I think it was a great competitor to the PS4. And I think, honestly, I like them both equally. PS4 and Xbox One. I might just rank them both, honestly. Where's the PS4? It's right here. We're gonna rank PS4 and Xbox One together. First off, they both came out, 2013? So, pretty much 12 years ago, which is crazy, by the way. They both pretty much had the same games. I mean, Xbox had some exclusives like Halo and all that. And, you know, PlayStation is PlayStation. I think, personally, the Xbox One is a little bit more powerful. And I think it had a little bit more storage on it. And I personally like the controller better. But I think that they are pretty much the same quality-wise, like quality of games. They're pretty much the same. They're both, again, they're just both incredible consoles, and they're both being supported nowadays, and they still have some incredible games on them as well. So they got that going for them as well. So yeah, I really like them both, honestly. I'm gonna put them both probably, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna put them both in S. I don't care. We're gonna put both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 in S on this list. Okay, well, I don't know if I need to explain this, but we are putting the Wii all the way at the top. It's going at the very beginning, and I'm not talking about it, because if you don't know what the Wii is, then you've been living under a rock. Okay, PS Vita is next. This is the little brother of the PlayStation Portable, Now, personally, I like the PSP more, but the Vita is very good in its own right. For one, it has an LED screen, not an OLED screen like the PSP, but that doesn't really matter because the games still look really good. I mean, goddamn PlayStation, you made your games look incredible on handheld consoles, and Nintendo, take notes. Yeah, the console runs pretty good as well. The battery life really depends on what game you're playing, but for the most part, you'll only have to charge it maybe once or maybe twice during a day. That is if you play it like all day. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Vita. It's just the PlayStation Portable, but round edges, I guess. And by the way, I want to point this out. Why is there a Reddit for the Vita? And why is there a Reddit for the PlayStation Portable? Why aren't they just the same thing? There's whole different Reddit communities for the PS Vita and the PlayStation Portable. That doesn't make any sense. Anyways, I'm putting the Vita an A as well. There you go. Finally, on our list, the most sold video game console ever, the PlayStation 2. Don't worry, everybody. Yes, the PS2 is GOAT as well. Okay, don't worry about it. Let me just get off this screen real quick and go ahead and put it in GOAT real quick. Yeah, there you go. PS2 did a lot for video games. It made it it brought it to mainstream, like it mainstream video games, and it made it more accepted as a form of entertainment for a wider audience. Now, you could say that PS2 was less powerful than, say, the original Xbox. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention with the original Xbox, it's more powerful than the PS2. It had an internal hard drive instead of memory cards with 8 to 10 gigabytes of memory. Not only did this reduce load times, but it also allowed for you to play custom game soundtracks, which is crazy. Which is why I'm putting the Xbox in A now. But yeah, that's just PS2 also, again, I've said this a lot, it has one of the best lineup of games ever. It has so many great games on it, like San Andreas, Vice City, NCAA Football 06. What are some other games on this? Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3. It's backwards compatible, I'm pretty sure, with the PlayStation 1. Also, it had what's the Star Wars game? It had the Star Wars game on it too. I forgot what it was called. Just like the PS1, I could talk about the PS2 for hours. So I will save you with me just saying, if you want a good video game experience, go buy all of this stuff in GOAT. I know PC is kind of weird to be on this list, but yeah. So with all that being said, this is my video game console tier list. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let's get one final look at the list. In GOAT, in A, in GOAT, in S, in A, B, C, and trash. And then we only unranked one console. That's the TurboGrafx. I just never played it myself, so I just feel like it wouldn't be fair to rank. But just so just so you guys can be happy, I'll put it in like C. There you go. We've ranked everything. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It'll really help me out a lot. And without being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I just said that, but yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep now. So thank you, and goodbye.